it the boogeyman for ESPN. I mean, I just feel like for whatever reason, every year they are kind of ostracized as if they don't even belong on the same playing field with these other teams.
Do you know that I worked at ESPN for 19 years?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you think that ESPN has something against Ohio State?
Yes. I would love to know, in your opinion, what that is.
Well,
now,
I do find it interesting.
Because of Urban Meyer, but he's gone.
Well, I find it interesting that some people actually think that ESPN is pro-Ohio State. I hear that all the time, too. I know that a lot of ESPN analysts are from Ohio State. You know, you've got two of the highest ranking analysts are Ohio State alums in Kirk Herbstreit and Joey Galloway. And in the past, Chris Spielman was one of their top guys.
What about the scrutiny that they receive every year? I totally get the 33-0. It was a disaster year. But, I mean, even last year, that was a great game. They didn't finish, admittedly, but they were not given the respect due even coming into this game.
Well, I think that, again, I would hope that ESPN would allow their analysts to speak their minds and have their own opinions. So I would hope that at a place like ESPN that has that many analysts, that they each have their own opinions and they're not all thinking the same thing. And so that we would hear a variety of opinions. I know that Jesse Palmer in particular, who I've got a lot of respect for, has frequently defended Ohio State. He certainly believed that Ohio State should have been selected to the playoff in 2017 and argued that point. I don't necessarily see. You would have to come with specific examples for me to believe. Now, I know that when Mark May worked at ESPN, there is no question that Mark May disliked, maybe even hated Ohio State and rarely picked them to win any big games and always downplayed them. There was no question about that. Other than Mark May, I can't think of anybody that's really unfair to Ohio State at the network. I think that it's a legitimate question to ask when there's a team that played 6 games and other teams played 10 and 11 games, to just ask the question, what is the legitimacy of their season? I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's fair. I think they'd be asking the same of other conferences if they had only played 6 games. Do you think if there was a college football season next year and everybody played 11 games and one conference played 6 games, you don't think that people would be skeptical of that team's accomplishments?
Not necessarily. I mean, I could understand the, question involving how many games were played. But at the same token, I feel like, let's be honest, if Ohio State, not this year, take any year, had lost to a team, what are the likelihood that they would still have the opportunity to still play in a championship the same way Alabama and Clemson had?
You're saying if Ohio State lost?
Not this season.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this season, if they lost, they would have been out of it because they only had 7 games going in. But any other season with one loss, it would have been extremely hard for them to be able to maintain their playoff drive.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate to a certain extent because I think you can argue that point on either side. In 2017 and 18, Ohio State could have been selected to go to the playoff, and I very adamantly argued that Ohio State should be selected to the playoff, especially in 2017, and then in 2018 that they had better wins than Oklahoma to be selected. But on the other hand, in 2014, Ohio State had no better resume than TCU and Baylor, and they were put into the playoff, and TCU and Baylor were left out of the playoff. In 2016, Ohio State was the first team that was selected as a non-conference champion to go to the playoff. So, and then this season, they were given the benefit of the doubt above anyone else. The first time a playoff ranking came out, they only had 3 games played, and they were ranked number 4 in the country, and nobody else was given that type of consideration.
Well, that is a fair point to bring up. I still think that there is definitely some bias against Ohio State, but I'm also biased for Ohio State. So
sure,
I will take that.
And I'm not saying that you're not hearing things that are legit. I would just love to know what those things are.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to allow somebody else to get on the channel, and I hope you're enjoying this win as much as I am.
Well, I appreciate you calling. And who was this again?
Miss Garrett 24.
Miss Garrett 24. Is this the first time you've ever called?
Yep, first time ever called.
Well, we appreciate you calling.
No problem. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.